So what would you say the biggest budget show you've worked on all those shows?
The biggest budget was definitely the Scorsese movie.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that initially it was picked up by Paramount.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, and it was quoted, I think at the time, as like a $200 million budget movie. And then I think about a year into prep for it, it got dropped by Paramount because it was starting to get
too big.
It was getting too big, and Apple picked it up. So
and Apple has deep.
Yeah, and Apple was like one of Apple's first really big feature movies, and it was like Scorsese. So they kept throwing more money at it. So I think it went from 200 million to 300 million, and then I'm pretty sure that when we were shooting, we went over budget.
They went over a budget of $300 million.
Yes. And you want to know how much money I made on that show, Harold?
How much?
What my rate was?
What?
$10 an hour. $10 an hour.
That's why
on a Scorsese
That's why it
film.
blows. I'm like, how do you guys have hundreds of
millions
of dollars to throw away, and then you can't even pay someone a decent rate?
Right. And the thing was too is like, you know, like as you're PAing, like you start out and you're like an additional PA. Like you might just be showing up to work like once every couple days a week or maybe every other week. Like you're not a full-time person yet. And then you're like, then you might be like an everyday additional where like you're there every day. Like Taylor works pretty much every day.
She does.
Right, but she's not like a staff PA yet.
Which is dumb. Well,
it's dumb.
It's dumb.
It's dumb. We can get into that because I have so much to say about that.
It's dumb.
If you're there every day, just put her down as a staff PA. Like it makes no difference. Right. It makes no difference except for the fact that she will get credited for it. And like we'll be able to put it on her resume that says I was a staff PA. These people wanted me here every day. Like it doesn't benefit or impact the production in any way to put her name down as a staff PA. It does not hurt them. Yeah. It only hurts the additional PA that's not being credited for being there every day.
Yeah, very true.
And so that that drives me nuts.
What is a key set PA?
So key set PA. There's kind of like a list of like hierarchy in the AD department, the assistant director's department, and I'll start at the top and then work my way down.
Okay.
And then I'll tell you specifically like where I fall in that chain. Okay. If that's cool.
And what does key set PA stand for?
A key set PA is just like if there's like the PA staff underneath the ADs. As the key set PA, I'm kind of like the manager of the PAs.
Okay.
And then the expectation is that I can both do AD duties and PA duties simultaneously. And then I kind of just like, you know, if there's...
What does PA stand for?
Production assistant.
Okay.
Yeah, so like as a production assistant, like, we assist the production. You know, it sounds so obvious, but like, it's much more broad and much more specific than it sounds. It's kind of like a two-sided thing.
Okay.
And for me, specifically as a key set PA, like my day looks like distributing information, like... I show up in the mornings, I take all of the call sheets, the sides, which are just like mini scripts of like what we're shooting for that day particularly.
A tiny script.
Yeah, tiny scripts. Everybody's like, can I get some of those little papers? And I'm like, sure, here's the little papers. I'm like, oh, I want big papers. I'm like, I don't want the ones with the words, I just want the ones with the times. That's the call sheet. So it's like I like, you know, kind of translate what people are actually asking me for.
Okay, so you're the person, you're why we get call sheets in the morning. That's right. You. Where do you get those from?
So I get those from the production office. So the production office send them in the morning from wherever the production office is in Memphis.
Downtown.
Yeah, in downtown Memphis. So they send them to set, and when they land at the AD trailer, like at set, I take them when I show up in the morning, and then I walk to set, and I make sure that the first AD gets the papers they need, I make sure the director gets what they need, I make sure the producers get what they need, the script supervisor. Those are like my big hits first in the morning, and then I make sure all the other departments get them too. So I make sure camera has them so they know what's going on for every scene. The sound department, specifically sound's really important too, because like sound's going to open up and be like, I'm going to make sure that who we're wiring for the day. It's crazy. Like these pieces of paper dictate like everybody's job all day.
Right.
So that's like the first thing I do in the morning. So distributing information as a key set PA is like kind of, I'd say the biggest point. So in the morning where I show up and hand out physical paper, there's also the other part of my job where all day I'm texting kind of like the heads of departments, just like where we're at with the day, what time lunch is, when we break. And it's like, oh, you're like lunch. And like the film and TV industry, like those times are very specific because everybody's in a union. So we have very tight schedule of like when people have to break for lunch before we go into like meal penalties and
But you're very expensive.
Yeah, very expensive. Like they had it pretty quick.
What's a lockup?
What's a lockup? So
Yeah,
imagine.
What is a lockup?
Imagine like you're standing like. This sounds awful. Like let's say we're trying to trap an animal, which we don't trap animals. I'm a vegetarian. It's fine. Let's say like we were building a fence, right? And the goal is to neither let anything in the fence or out of the fence for a particular thing. So ultimately, like a lockup is like we are protecting the shot.
Okay.
And like that's what's kind of fun about PAing after a while is you kind of realize that you are much more involved in the creative process than what it feels like sometimes. Right. Like you are securing the image, right? And everybody in the production, like camera, sound, whatever, everybody's playing a part in creating the vision. We may not be part of like coming up with the vision, but we're part of executing and collecting that vision
to make sure it
comes
to
life.
Yeah,
exactly. And so for us, like when we lock something up, like we're protecting the boundary of that that vision. And like I think that kind of works in conjunction with locations when we're shooting on like exterior places or at a house or a home or something. Like you all have contact with law enforcement. Sometimes we'll lock up traffic together. And
we sure do. We do lock up together sometimes.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
It's like, and that's like what's cool is like you can always lean on like other departments to help out, and I think there's a lot of crossover in that element. But like a lockup just basically means like we are securing an area for the actors and the crew to do the work and to do the vision, do the creative thing. And like, and that doesn't just mean like visually either, but I say it's like, it's for safety, it's for sound, it's for the literal shot, like the actual, like what we're seeing on camera. And it's funny because like, like the frame might be this big and then like we might just have PAs that are just like, boop, just right there. So like people are like, oh, like that must be such a big world. But like, like if the camera turns half an inch to the left, you're going to see like crew and equipment and cars and things that may like, we might be shooting something for like 1800s. And then you take half an inch to the left and it's like, very obviously the future.
Right.
You're like, whoa. So like it's all important work. Like that's pretty much what a lockup is though.
Okay.
And then like as a PA when you're doing a lockup, I mean you become like a shushing machine.
Yes.
Like you're keeping everybody quiet. A lot of times your arms are like this if you're out in public. You're like, hey, like please don't walk here. Please. And then,
So you hand out lockups.
Yeah.
Do you do lockups?
I do lockups too, yeah.
Okay. So you have some key set PAs who don't do lockups, but they hand them out.
Yeah. I'm very much of the opinion, like in like the work world, like myself, is like I am absolutely 100% okay with like delegating tasks, but I also don't like to like over delegate. Like my goal, like when I am working with like the PAs, like our team, is that I never want to end up with it like empty-handed in terms of tasks, because the goal of like working as a team, in my opinion, especially in like the film industry world, is like the goal isn't to do all of your work until you no longer have something to do. It's to like collectively achieve the goal.
Right. Which is to make a movie.
Right. It's to make a movie. Right. So like, like I'll have some bosses that are like second ADs, and I'm sure my perspective will change slightly as I go, but I really do think I have a bit of a different approach than like most, in that like my goal is ultimately the same, to achieve that goal. Right. But I'm not going to achieve it by handing out all the tasks until I have nothing to do. So when I delegate tasks, like I make sure that at the end of that task, like I'm participating in the lockups. I'm participating in, achieving the goal. I'm just participating in achieving the goal. And a lot of people stop at just delegating and making sure that everybody's doing something. Because I've seen it. I worked on shows where like the key PA passes everything out and they just stand by an AD with their arms crossed. And then it's like, I'm over here dying, sweating, running.
Or in the freezing cold. Or in the rain.
Exactly. Exactly. And then it's like, they're like, oh, well, that just comes with the position. You don't have to do as much once you get to the scene. I was like, I don't think that's, like, in my opinion, just in the way I am, like, I don't like that. Like, like, I could never be the boss and not be helping my team.
Right.
And so I think as like a key set PA, it's cool because like now that I'm in this position, I get to kind of flex that a little bit. And I think it works out because like, when I'm helping my team do things, like you just get like a respect too. And I'm not the kind of person that's gonna come around and be like, oh, if you're sitting down, you're not working. It's like we work on kind of like there are a lot of things to be doing all day, but like if you're sitting down in between takes and I've got you on a lockup for a door that maybe isn't active all day, it's like sit down, take a rest, talk, go to the bathroom, go get a snack. Like I'm not gonna like be mad at you.
It's not jail.
No, it's not jail. And like you're here to work, like, and everybody forgets this, I feel like, in the film industry, but like we are also very normal humans. Like, you get hungry, you have to go to the bathroom. Human interaction is important on a non-work related basis. So like, and Harold, you are the king of talking to the PAs on set. And I'm like, I see Harold and I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
He's keeping them alive.
Right, exactly. And it's like, my expectation is like, hey, as long as like, we're talking about lockups, as long as that lockup doesn't get blown and the shot's not ruined, I don't care what you're doing in between. Like, and not in like I don't care way, but like, I hope that you're enjoying your day.
The shot doesn't get blown.
Exactly. And like, and I think there are people that take advantage of that sometimes, not on this show, but like, ultimately, like, those people don't stick around though for me. It's like, hey, like, I build the trust. My trust in you is that you'll do what I've asked you to do,
and not let someone walk through the door.
In exchange for just like, I'm not here to like boss you around. I'm just here to like tell you what, like, as a team, here's like the checklist of like what we got to do today.
Right.
And like whatever we got to do to get that done, I don't care what happens in between. Like, just like everybody's working together, everybody's helping each other out, do the things. I literally will text that to you, like, when I'm like trying to give a task out for the day. I'm like, hey, it's like, now that we're like 5 months into the show, I'm like, hey, everybody, do the things today. Let me know if you need help, if you have questions. Like, there's never a bad question. There's never a bad time to ask a question.
Right.
Like, you know, yeah. I don't let people stumble too much. And I know a lot of people have to like stumble through things to learn things. But ultimately, like, I try not to let people stumble too much. Because you let somebody stumble too much and they learn to stabilize themselves or fall the wrong way, then they're hurt. They develop bad habits. You know what I mean?
I like how you said that they're hurt. They develop bad habits.
Right. Like and I think it's just, you know, it's like just like trauma. You know, like you get trauma and then you trauma fix things and then you do things different your whole life in a way that isn't particularly healthy, but it still gets it done.
Right.
And then ultimately at some point might shoot yourself in the foot and do it wrong. Like, so I do my best. Like, I like to help people do things just so they learn. Communication's like super important on set, but as a key set PA, it's like, my goal as a key set PA to make sure that my team is informed, has all the things they need to do the job for the day, but then ultimately too are having a good time. Because like, why would I want to come work in an artistic industry and feel like you're working in like the military or like, again, like you're in prison? And it can feel like this. And I was like, I think yesterday I got to go to the bathroom twice. And I was like, I definitely had to go to the bathroom like 6 times at the like minimum.
Right.
So.
Okay, and then I'm gonna go on to my last question.
Okay.
Are you comfortable talking about money?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, how much money does a key set PA make in this type of environment, just on a day rate?
On a day rate, okay. So, it varies from show to show, movie to movie. On this particular show that we're working on, it's a good basis though. So like on this movie, it's awful, and it's awful in every PA position. It is very all across boards. Whether I've worked in New York, here, anywhere else, PA pay like needs help so bad.
It really does.
So like, for instance, like my expectation, like the expectation is for me to be able to fill in for an AD when they step off set. My pay does not reflect that whatsoever. But it's like, hey, like Bailey, like I'm stepping off to go do this. Make sure that we're doing all the things that I would do. And it's like, oh wait, so you want me to do that for, drum roll, $13 an hour.
Okay.
And it's like, no way. It's like the ADs make about 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 times more than I do a day. But then like I'm making the same amount of money as somebody's first day on set as an additional PA most of the time. So like, for instance, like on this show, I make $13 an hour. But then like an additional PA that's coming in for just the day, it might be their first day on set ever, they're making $12.50 an hour.
Okay, let me ask you this. So this is the first time I'm actually seeing where they do like what you make an hour. I'm normally used to the day rate.
Right.
What is that in a day rate?
What is that in a day rate? So my day rate for this show is roughly, I think, $188 a day.
$188 a day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that's before taxes.
Yeah, the taxes kill you, man. Yeah.
And oftentimes how the day rates work they're based on an hour. They are based on like an hour. They're like, here's like your money per hour kind of thing. But they just give us like a guarantee, like a 12-hour guarantee. Right? So like even if I work 8 hours that day, I'm going to get paid for 12 hours of work.
Right. That is the plus.
Yeah, it is a plus.
Yeah.
And then there are days where we work over 12 hours and you're just, you're still compensated for that rate past the 12 hours.
So let's say if you work as a PA, or a key set PA for a year straight, What is the yearly salary looking like on that?
Yeah, it's not the worst. The money is not bad, but the money is only not bad because we work between 60 and 90 hours a week, which is double the normal person's hours. So like where the hourly rate sucks, we make up for it in the amount of hours that we accumulate.
Right.
But I'd say like, for instance, like this last year, I probably made about 40 to 45,000.
Okay.
But I mean, I probably worked triple the amount of hours. Like for instance, like my girlfriend works a 9 to 5 right now.
Okay.
And she makes somewhere in like the 50 to 55 range, and our paychecks every week are about the same.
Okay.
But she works a third of what I do and has free time and sleeps and eats on a normal schedule and has time for hobbies.
Right.
And so like where the money is okay. Like I can survive on the wage, but like it's not the best. It's not the best.
Right. Yeah, okay. So about 40 to 45 grand a year.
Yeah.
To hop in as a key set PA, and that's what you'll walk away with. Anything else you got? Any other notes before you log off?
Wait, say that again?
You got any other notes or anything else you want to say for anyone trying to be a key set PA?
Yeah. Oh, it's maybe not even like a key set PA, but like be nice to PAs, right? Like,
please, yeah, because they'll be producers one day.
They will. They'll be producers. They'll be your camera people. They're going to be your writers. They might be actors. They might be this, or this. I will say that like in the AD department, like if you're becoming a staff PA, or just even if you're coming to set to be a PA in general and you don't know what you want to do on set yet, or even just in like your career in general, like maybe you don't even want to work in the film industry.
Right.
Coming on set as a PA, I think the first thing you have to remember is that like I mean, maybe your parents tell you this even as you're growing up, like how you present yourself to people and how you act and how you hustle and how you work and how you treat others ultimately reflects who you are. Right? And so like when you show up on set as a PA, especially, like the expectation is that you don't know anything.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily true.
And it's not true. It's not true at all. And it's like, but you have to show up on set ready for that, so that people are going to look down on you.
Right.
And with the expectation that you don't know anything, that you're not ready, or blah blah blah, blah, you're inexperienced and whatever. But like ultimately, like you could show up on set and have had an entire career before you ever became a PA. So my advice is, if you're starting your PA career or you're starting your TV and film career, when you get on set as a PA, like be nice to people, like be nice to yourself. There's going to be really hard days, but ultimately, like Harold is a prime example of this. Like Harold is a genius at networking and being kind to people, and like ultimately, like that's what gets you places. Like hard work and being nice, like those two things will get you all the way anywhere in any direction that you want to do or go. But as a PA, it's really important because, like, if you want to be in the camera department, then, like, hustle and make friends with the camera people. Right. And sooner or later, somebody can be like, hey, do you want to come work sometime? Like, we can get you started. You can be a camera PA, or, like, you can come shadow me or something, you know? And, like, you just have to be ready to show up, hustle, work hard, be nice to people, and just, like, ultimately that boils down to, like, being able to network. You know, and as you PA for a little bit more and more and more, networking becomes easier and easier as you get comfortable with your workload. So like what turns out to be a stressful day at the beginning might be very easy work later on, and ultimately that turns into I can do that and chat.
Right.
And then you just kind of keep climbing up. And like I want to be an assistant director, so like becoming a staff PA and becoming a key set PA is kind of, it's all a part of the journey for me.
So you want to be an AD? Yeah,
I want to be an AD.
Okay.
I'm a helper bee through and through.
Okay.
And so like I love to assist people in making things happen, and it's particularly in like creative things. Like I like to direct my own work and make creative things myself, but I get just as much joy helping other people do it. Right. Because I like to see people's visions and I like to help them make it happen. Because like some people have like amazing ideas, but like they don't have the personal skill set to like execute an idea. And I'm just like, you have the good idea, I can help you plan that idea and make it happen.
Right.
And so like for me, it's been a really cool experience getting to see myself grow into that role. And I guess key set PA, I'm getting closer and closer to that. And it's cool. It's cool. It's been a really fun journey so far.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Well, Bailey, thank you so much for coming out here to Little Old Covington, Tennessee, man, and being on my podcast. So yeah, thank you so much.
I can't wait to see you here. This is gonna be cool.
Yeah. All right, guys. So that was Bailey Hartman, key set production assistant. Y'all go check out some of his work, watch some of his movies, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We're out. Peace, guys.
Thanks. That's great. Woo! We did it. Harold, this was a blast.
Thank you, man. I'm glad
You make me feel
No, you are.